Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In segment one, we were talking about last night's game between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. We are not going to say that Tate is a fan of Boston, but like we said, less of a hater. As we go into segment two, I do want to remind you that we do get questions and comments that come in during the show. If you go to gsmcpodcast.net, you can leave a tip or a donation, and that will bump your question to the top of our list, ensuring that we see it. Again, that link is gsmcpodcast.net. And now moving into our second topic of the day, the Big 12 Conference is exploring a groundbreaking private equity investment to secure its long-term financial stability and competitive edge. Luxembourg-based CVC Capital Partners has proposed an $800 million to $1 billion cash infusion in exchange for a 15% to 20% stake in the league. This unprecedented move, discussed at the recent Big 12 spring meetings, aims to enhance the league's value and align it more closely with the financial powerhouses of college sports, such as the Big Ten and SEC. Currently, Big 12 teams earn $31.7 million each from a media rights deal with Fox and ESPN that extends until 2031. With CVC's investment, the Big 12 could significantly boost its revenue, potentially approaching the Big Ten's media rights deal, which promises around $75 million per school annually. The partnership would not only provide immediate financial benefits to the 16 conference members, but also grant them access to CVC's vast investment services and global network. Despite the promising outlook, the proposal has met with some skepticism among league presidents. The Big 12 must ensure a long-term commitment, possibly requiring a new grant of rights by 2031. A small working group of 3 Big 12 presidents is currently evaluating the proposal, with Commissioner Brett Yormark's existing relationship with CVC playing a pivotal role in the discussions. CVC, managing over $200 billion in investments, sees significant upside in the Big 12's media rights. The current deal, valued at $2.3 billion, could potentially double, making the league's total worth around $5 billion in its next negotiation cycle. This projection aligns with the trend of increasing media rights revenues across FBS conferences. The backdrop to this financial maneuvering is the evolving landscape of college sports, where additional revenue streams are becoming essential. This urgency is underscored by the recent House v. NCAA settlement, which mandates revenue sharing with players and increases scholarship funding, adding significant financial pressures on Power 4 conference schools. CVC's sports investment portfolio includes notable entities like the Women's Tennis Association, La Liga, and Premiership Rugby, showcasing its expertise and success in the sports sector. The potential Big 12 investment could mark a new chapter in college sports, with private equity becoming a more prominent player in the industry. Tate, I'm sure there's lots to say about this. But when I read that, all I could think of was whenever you watch Shark Tank and they say, I'm asking for this amount in exchange for 15 to 20% of this of my company. I know it's not the same thing. That's just where my brain went. But there are definitely implications for this.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Okay. When we decided to do this story, it was supposed to have been on Friday. Is that correct?
Correct.
Then we had some things that kind of came up that we couldn't do the show the last couple of days. I'm going to tell you that was the best thing possible when it comes to this story. Because if I'd have done this story on Friday, I would have been like, I'm absolutely against this. I think it's wrong. I'm not for it. Okay. And I think it's bad. It's bad for college football. But I thought about it over the weekend. I thought about it yesterday. And I started thinking about, like you said, La Liga, Premier League, the WTA, and all these other organizations that are using private equity to move their sport along. And I have done a complete 180 on this. I think it's a good thing. I know that there's a lot of people that are against it. And I've looked at some of the reasons why they're against it. and they're all theoretical. There's no solid evidence on why it would be a bad thing. Everything that they've come up with on how it's going to destroy the sport and it's going to do away with all all the other non-equity or earning sports. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. When you dive into it and you look at it, did it wholesale change La Liga or Premier League or the WTA? They did not. They actually helped them. And I'm going to tell you that as I looked at this, now remember, last week I would have said I was against this, but I did do some research. The opposite is if they don't do it, that's what's going to change the game. That's what's going to change the league. If they don't do this, they're so behind the SEC and the Big 12, the SEC and the Big 10, that they won't be able to compete. And what I mean by that is in the world of the transfer portal with unlimited transfers, name, image, and likeness, and the money that is coming in from the SEC and the Big 10, the ruling where now they have to pay $22 million to the players. The SEC is in danger of becoming a farm system for the SEC and the Big 10. If the Big 10 and ACC are making 3 times what the Big 12 is making, then they have the ability. Oh, we have this superstar quarterback out of TCU. Well, Alabama comes calling. You can make a lot more money over here. It's already happening. Players are transferring to Big 10 and SEC schools because they can make more money. So how do you compete? You have to be able to compete and do more. This private equity makes it so that they're making on par with the SEC and the Big 10, and makes it so they can be competitive. They can turn a profit. As a matter of fact, when I started, my new approach to this is, not only should they be giving 15 to 18% to this company for $1 billion, if there's a second company they can give another 15% to, I would do it as well. Pull in $2 billion, you've given up 30% ownership of control of your team, but you still have controlling interest at 70%. Makes it so the decisions are still with the Big 12. So, and that would actually push them above the Big 10 and the SEC. But the main thing is making the Big 12, putting the Big 12 on an even playing field. That is the key. When you looked at just recently, the Big 10 and the SEC does not look at the Big 12 or the ACC on the same level. So when it came time to negotiate the college football payouts, the Big 10 and SEC got a giant chunk, and the scraps were left for the ACC, the Big 12, and everyone else. This puts them on equal playing field. We make just as much as you. We can make just as big as demands as you can. That's important for the stability of the conference, the stability of college football. I think it's ingenious. The Big 12 is looking at and considering doing things that are groundbreaking and that can really, really take the Big 12 from where they are now to an upper echelon all the way into the future. I think it's a good move. Does that make sense to you?
It does. 1 second. Sorry. It does. Do you see any potential downsides or things that they need to keep an eye out for? I mean, you said first you were against it and then you started thinking about it, but what are the pitfalls? What are the potential pitfalls?
Well, the pitfalls is when you bring in private equity, they're going to be looking at how to make money. But when I started looking at it, they don't come in and tell you, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. But what they have done is said, we have these resources that we can help you. By us giving you these resources, we can open the doors for you guys to make even more money. Using our connections help bring you up so that you are being more efficient. They're in the business of maximizing your profit line. So if they are able to move the Big 12's bottom line to all new heights, then the entire athletic department's bottom line moves to all new heights. I say private equity has the ability to actually save college sports, as I've been looking at it, because of the fact that as these organizations are making more and more money, as they're sharing a lot of their financial tools and resources, it really does open that door for more money without wholesale destroying a league. La Liga is still going strong. Years with private equity. Premier League still going strong.
I do want to jump in. You keep saying Premier League. It's actually Premiership Rugby.
Oh, Premiership. Okay. Sorry about that. There's a big difference there.
People don't start yelling at us.
I can't speak on Premiership Rugby. I apologize. I cannot speak on that one.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I jumped in with that.
The Women's Tennis Association is still going strong, and they haven't made wholesale changes. It's not like they came into the WTA and been like, listen, doubles, it needs to go. We're only doing the big majors. Nothing has changed except for there's been more tournaments that have come out. The prize money has gone up in winnings. They haven't gone backwards. That's the reason why I look at it as a positive thing. They've worked more as a partner than an anchor. And I feel like a lot of the people, when you start reading some of the things about why, no one ever gives a true reason except for it's going to make it so they're going to do away with women's sports or non-equity revenue sports. Show me an instance where they've invested in a sports organization where they demanded to overhaul that sport. It hasn't been done. But what they have done is opened up other avenues of revenue for them to help them become more profitable. So when you look at it that way, it's a good thing. A lot of these universities are barely making it or losing money. Finding a company that specializes in generating revenue and opening up resources for a conference who has been struggling to turn a profit is a good thing. And like I said, if I'd have done this story on Friday, I would have went the total opposite direction. But after doing a little bit more research and things, because on Friday I just had my own feeling. This is the way college football has always been, and they're changing it. But no one's looking deeper into this. They just know how they feel. College football was great the way it was. Why are we changing it? Because they were playing college football was set up in the 1800s. The 1900s have gone by. We're in the 21st century with 21st century issues and problems. And we have to find 21st century solutions. And when I look at it and I start diving into it, I am pro private equity. And I think most of the people that are against it, what I have seen across the board, is more about their feelings of nostalgia and how it's going to change things, but not how it can improve things.
All right. Well, We're going to take our second break. When we come back, we're actually sticking with the Big 12. A little bit of the same topic, but talking about potential name change in terms of some of this, looking into private equity. You are tuned in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.